Welcome to Podcaster Toten. My name's Rad.
I'm Matt.
Hello, I'm Tack.
I'm Nabberzunter. I'm back.
And I'm Water Cage.
This is a very special episode. One of those very special episodes where we're going to talk about some of those big teasers that happened this week with Black Ops Cold War. We got a title reveal. We got a teaser. We got some sort of ARG with some ciphers. I was not able to really follow the whole process. I don't know how much you guys were, but I know Water KH, or one of our guests today, had something to do with solving some of those ciphers. So, you can go in as in depth if you want to, but
Oh God,
I'd like to hear about some of it.
Me and my fiance were following it since day one, and then Nappers joined. I think the last or second to last day. So we got some
for the last day. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically, there's 6 tapes, and each day, well, there's one tape at the beginning, and then each day they added one, but then added a version number to the previous one. So like, day 1 was version 1, then version 2, and then at the end it was version 6. Each time they added a new version, they would add Nixie tube numbers into the broadcast. So at the end, we had 6 tapes with 24 Nixie tube numbers in all of them. And essentially, yeah.
Could I interrupt you there? Yeah, I didn't even know what a Nixie tube is. For anyone who's listening and was like completely overwhelmed by this ARG, which also, Rad, you said ARG. I didn't know what an ARG was before today either.
Literally, somebody said on the website, they're like, oh, in the code it literally says ARG site. So I'm like, oh wow, nice, we've got a site in Argentina. That's perfect. Like, I was like, yeah, no idea.
That's great. Yeah.
Sorry. So anyway, we were saying, but if you would tell us about what these Nixie tubes are, for anyone who doesn't know what that is.
I don't really know. I just know they're part of the thing. I know they were used in Black Ops 1 because like the numbers Mason, like those are all Nixie tubes and stuff. So that's what I thought it was a callback to.
I think everyone's seen them, but like I didn't know that's what they were called. But everyone's probably seen them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I knew what Nixie tubes were because I had a friend that dabbled in like all these weird electronics and stuff. But yeah.
So I've got a question. So like, every day they would, they update with a new tape, and then there would be updated versions of the old ones. So like, was there anything that was able to be solved, in the process, or did you have to wait till like the last day?
Yeah. So for the first tape, so each tape was labeled with a color code, and then in each of the bunkers in Warzone, because each day you'd get a bunker code to go in Warzone and open up the bunker, and inside would be different scraps of ciphers. So in the cipher pages all had different like stickers on them, and then they were all color coded and stuff. So the green tape would go to the PSG, or the what was it? Polygraphic graph or whatever that you used for that one. I don't know. Are you guys aware of which ciphers were in the game or in the ARG?
I am. I don't know if anybody else is.
I saw
don't have
pictures of it. Stuff.
Yeah, so we had 6 different cipher types that they used the Nixie tubes with.
Yep.
So day 1 was green, and so that went to the PSG, which is basically, it was 4 square essentially, but they just kind of used the square and not really encrypted it with it, because we just got coordinates for the square and then worked backwards from that. I don't know. I'm such a bad explainer at this kind of stuff. I'm sorry. But yeah, so
ciphers.
Yeah.
I think anyone who listens to this portion, like, I think it's a given. And if you've listened to any of our previous Cypher podcasts that have involved water, he explains it in a way that's absolutely understandable to anyone who already does ciphers. So we're going to move on beyond ciphers. If this is, I mean, yeah.
You don't have to go super in depth if you don't want to. Right. This is just we're just kind of setting the the context for how we got to like the website where we saw the teaser trailer and all that.
Right. Yeah, so we got 6 sets of 24 numbers. And yeah, how you're saying, can you solve them before? So the first one that we like semi-solved was on like day 4, which was the PSG cipher. Because on the last day they updated the website, and on the website they had different mappings of the colors to different colors. So like green was to green, so we could solve that one. But then there was like Venona cipher, which is a different cipher type.
That was the orange one, right?
Yes. So that one was actually, I think, it was mapped to yellow. But so when we were watching the orange tape and getting the numbers, we weren't able to like assign them in the Venona cipher because it's like you need 24 digits, but we had 48 digits.
Right.
So we were like, this doesn't really make sense. But then, yeah, at the last day, they were saying, hey, orange actually goes to yellow, and the yellow actually only had 24 digits. So that's how that worked. So they all scrambled them up. And then at the end, I think they kept putting out hints because nobody was getting it.
So that's a great way. I didn't even think of that. Because I was keeping up with it all until Wednesday, and I had to for work stuff, I had to go off. And so that I saw the new website that had, that like red to green or like, the differences, and I didn't get what that meant. But that's a good way to
yeah.
Before, don't let anybody solve it early. Just, shuffle all the numbers last minute.
Well, and the thing too with that is that they kept green the same, so we were solving that one, and it's like, okay, this makes sense, and then it's like you're trying to solve the other ones. You're like, why isn't this like panning out? It was really interesting. They did a lot of work on that puzzle. It was really fun, really cool. But yeah, so then, oh yeah,
I have a question then. I don't know if we want to. Actually, never mind. That's an end question. You just continue.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, so then the last part of the puzzle, you actually had to assemble all of the numbers on the timeline because they were in 5-second intervals in the tapes. And so we had to solve the ciphers and then assign them back to their color. And then they would spell out the end code that I don't remember. It's something with Cold War, but then I think it had the link in it as well. If that makes sense. But that was how we got to the end.
Yeah.
This feels like when I think it was like we did an episode right after all of I was trying to explain on the podcast the summit, like the first day, like finding the website and all the things we had to do on Summit, like overlaying all the different, and we had to do that take like 2 or 3 times because I was just like, I don't know how to explain this. I cannot figure out the words.
And I'm already not good at explaining things, so I apologize for that.
Oh, great.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so that's how we get to the end of. So what did the ciphers end up? I saw something on Twitter about like the list of the plain text of what they all said, and to me it looked semi-incomprehensible, but I didn't look that long. Is that
right? Yeah. So you get the 24 letters, and yeah, we were all like, this is gibberish. Doesn't make sense. We actually thought it was a transposition cipher, which it kind of was, I guess, in a sense, but. Basically, yeah. So you get all the letters at the end of the decrypted text, and then that's when you assemble them all into the 5-second intervals, and then you go from 2 minutes and 5 seconds to 14 minutes, and in that order, then they make the website link. Yeah.
That led to the website, and that, of course, is where you see the teaser trailer that's now getting posted everywhere.
Yep.
And that is. So yeah, I guess you want to talk about that trailer, and I guess what do you think it means for the next game? We got a couple. We got the trailer that came out, and then there was a Treyarch tweet today. It was like I guess the cover art, and it's like this man kind of split in half. One side it's like American themed, the other side like Soviet themed, and it's really interesting because the trailer kind of talks about like a spy. Like a Soviet spy in the U.S. and how they're trying to destroy us from the inside. So I think the game's going to tackle some pretty interesting themes. It doesn't seem like it's going to be just a straight, Black Ops ripoff, like I was originally thinking.
I can't tell how they're going to take the cover. There's a lot of like spy talk. Part of it, the fact that their bodies and they're just covered in propaganda. Like I can't tell if that's just if that's just like a general statement on, just East versus West propaganda, changing of minds, that kind of thing, or if it is spy related. I guess I want to fill out the rest of the table. How do you think this has some sort of spy implications? I know Annan mentioned they kind of thought maybe it did.
I think it might, because at first when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is sort of too on the nose. Like, is it like a subversion of a subversion where you think it's like, oh, the communists have a plant inside the United States, and then you play the campaign and find out that it was actually, there's like a twist and it wasn't, it's the other way around. But the more I think about it and thinking about how Treyarch's influence, I think it might actually be, like you said, more about just sort of that spycraft, because the connection that I made was to the sleeper cells in Black Ops, and if it's sort of like a retooling and rebooting of the series, I think it kind of makes sense to take that storyline aspect and kind of put it into this context of maybe it's not so much like a spy that's coming into the United States, but it's sort of like even metaphorically, they're sort of taking an American, brainwashing them, and then sending them back to the United States to then sort of like poison the country. Because like that's so taking again that is it Mason, is Perseus multiple people, who knows, and that and kind of the teaser, the cover art or whatever that would be, made me think of that too, because I feel like when you look at the picture, it appears to be the same person. So it's kind of like that internal divide. It's like one man, but he's like stuck between the two sides. So that's kind of what I kind of came to mind.
It could somewhat be indicative of like a double agent. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like that's what you were kind of touching on there. In some of this, narratives that I've heard, and if you think about some of Germany's attempts to infiltrate the U.S. during World War II, you find that these people, although initially Nazis, they just came and, well, America was just better. And before long, they've just lost contact with their handlers and just integrated into society. And maybe that's why this person has never been discovered as Perseus. It just never because okay, you come to the U.S. as a spy, fully authorized, with a handler, and at what point in your life do you suddenly go, yeah, by the way, I am a spy for communist Russia. I know communist Russia doesn't exist at this point. The other thought I have in that he's, he appears like a dual, have like a dual nature. That's not the right terminology, but is you kind of see the, Russia ultimately. I don't know if this is going to be some sort of alternate universe storyline. I kind of doubt it. I feel like it's going to be pretty well grounded, but Russia, or the USSR eventually collapsed. So you kind of wonder if maybe Perseus, if this is indeed Perseus, or if this is somehow related to Perseus, or is inspired by, maybe came to the U.S. with those active measures, as his motivator, as his sort of playbook, and then ended up turning around and using that on Russia, inverting the process. I don't know, just a thought, and it's interesting that was the plan the Russia or the USSR had for its enemies, but it seems that that's what happened to them.
One of the things that I thought was interesting, just from a spycraft perspective, was I know like for entertainment, it makes for a good story to have a spy infiltrate an organization, and like Peter style, where where you infiltrate. But it's kind of interesting that, from my understanding, in real life, it's really the fact that you turn people already on the inside. There's very little infiltration. That doesn't work usually, nearly as well. So it's kind of an interesting. I mean, for entertainment it makes sense, but they're just they're going all the way. They're like, fuck it, we're putting an infiltration in there. But I thought I wonder what a story would look like from Treyarch in which they turn somebody inside. Maybe this will be like that. I don't know, but
right.
Well,
I guess
to be fair, we encountered that in Black Ops 2.
Ooh, remind me. Like I said, I don't think I ever played BO2.
It's in the same sense as the German operatives during World War II. Is like you were saying, they were actually Americans, but of close German. Most of them, I believe, they were of close German heritage, and so they actually brought them back to Germany, trained them, and sent them back, so they were integrated perfectly. Despite, look it up sometime, some of the hilarious story of their landing from a U-boat. It's pathetic. But in the case of Black Ops 2, trying to remember. In fact, it was one of my favorite characters. He's the black operative. That actually doesn't work. Black-skinned operative. Who works alongside.
I think his name is Salazar.
Yes, Salazar. Thank you. See, I really liked him. Like, he was one of my favorite characters. He just had that really solid wall vibe. Kind of like he had your back, and then all of a sudden, bam, he turned on you. Now, his original, he was actually born in Central America, if I recall, somewhere in one of those Central American countries, and he became, he was a migrant. So eventually he came to the U.S. and he was raised there, and so in all senses, he's an American. But he's got that little bit of, I guess, a foreign origin that Menendez was able to manipulate and then turn him.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that's too strange to Trek. I think they should probably go for that route again. That would be
Yeah, that would
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I think. Well, I guess the question is, do you think? Well, okay, I think it would be interesting to be, maybe play as a Soviet, play as Perseus, and maybe over time you get converted over to American side. I think that's
Ooh.
probably where they would go, but maybe not.
Mm.
But
I would go either. I would love to go either direction.
right. So I
Like
guess the
that.
question is, do you
Wait.
think is the guy
Damn,
on the
someone
cover
record that.
a
Hunter
playable
says he'd go
character?
either way.
Oh my god.
It's on record.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, so like, is the cover guy? Do you think that's who you play, or is that? Because I don't think the cover person on any Call of Duty has ever been the character you play necessarily, and I don't think they've ever put like a villain either. It's usually just a
True.
guy.
I never thought of that.
So like this guy might not even be Perseus or the main character. It just might just be art.
Well, what
But
I wonder,
thematically,
kind of what your initial point about if I think the Hunter, I guess both were saying it about the sort of plans being twisted and then turned on the Soviet Union. Looking back at kind of digging into the actual like history behind, because I didn't realize this was a thing. My cousin found this. I mean, it was Wikipedia, so it's not really my shame on me for not looking it up. I was looking up the Greek hero. That's where I went first, but. The initial Perseus, I think they said it was like a mistranslation because I think the spy was what was it identified or no one really knows if it's real. I think the only mention of him comes from what was called the Venona Project, which is I guess a series of what was it? It was a counterintelligence program where I guess they were meant to like decrypt like intelligence from the Soviet Union, and there's a document that I guess it's on the Wayback Machine, but it's called Venona: Soviet Espionage and the American Response, where they talk about PRS, which I guess then is sort of mistranslated or whatever as Perseus, and supposedly he was someone who potentially infiltrated the Manhattan Project. So this goes back to like World War II.
That Venona Project is what is famous for. I think that's how Julius and Ethel Rosenberg got caught. As well, so
yeah, so he's like gets a brief mention in here. So what I'm wondering is, it seems like he might be there from the start, and then maybe he's a character you meet and not someone you necessarily play as.
Sure.
And I wonder if they're going to tie that into MK Ultra, where maybe like that's kind of his influence has something to do with the MK Ultra program and sort of the brainwashing and stuff there, which kind of ties to the point of if it then goes back to the Soviet Union. So I don't know. I don't know where this puts the time frame of the game, because it seems like if it is true, I think there's another person that's also called Perseus that was related to it on another site, but basically it seems like they were there from the start. And I don't think, as far as my knowledge, Yuri Bezmenov, the journalist who defected, I don't think he was the one who talked about Perseus. Don't quote me on that, but I think that just might be like Call of Duty kind of tying the loose ends. But his whole thing was just about the Soviets have infiltrated, the American way of thinking, and eventually through generations it will, kind of fester and come out and destroy us culturally. So.
That was my understanding too, was that Call of Duty was combining the threads.
Yeah.
Okay, not to throw us all off what we were talking about, but Hunter, I just realized that mission with Salazar where he reveals himself, I think that its name was Odysseus.
Oh, so
That's
actually
a weird connection.
Someone did refer to that during the viral, actually right after the reveal. Someone mentioned the kind of connecting Perseus and Odysseus.
Anon? I feel like I remember seeing that. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, you're right.
That is interesting.
That would be hit right up his alley to point that out. He has an incredible memory of all these things. Shout out to you, Anon.
Yeah, dude, you're the best.
Always.
Sure he's not in on it?
Yeah.
Right?
Probably. So I guess kind of talk about how that would have go on.
We have confirmation. It is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We are confirmed Black Ops Cold War. We all knew it, but let's just put out there that is confirmed now, and let's I want to talk about the tapes for a moment. The fact that the years only ranged from 61 to 81. And what do you think that how important that is. I've been railing for like a week and a half now that I want a Cold War game that starts at least in the 50s, but preferably in the 40s. I think.
Well, they
but-
even skipped some important years in the 60s too.
So that's I'm wondering if
Like
they
63.
I'm wondering if they keep 63 open on the historical part. You all know what happens in 63, so they so they can do it their own way. Like same way with 75 in the collapse of like Vietnam, like there's nothing there. There's no 74 to go over Nixon's resignation. There's no, like that stuff. So I'm wondering in the in between years if that's important that they skipped it or just on all these. I don't know what the years mean.
Well, yeah, because that was one of the things that also thinking about the ARG itself and if the Know Your History and whoever is receiving these tapes and information, is that supposed to be sort of canon within the storyline? And
Right.
if so, like the tapes then have to be post, obviously the 60s and 70s. Now, whether they were like, 80s, 90s, like trying to place when this ARG happens, and does that mean, okay, that's the timeline is late Cold War? Or are we sort of doing, if it is sort of tied to modern warfare, sort of this weird bouncing back and forth between what happened in the past and then what's happening in the present? Like, is it someone from the current? That's what I was sort of wondering about. Like, does it give us a time frame, or is it just because modern warfare and Black Ops are now tied together?
Here's something interesting they could do. What if they did like two different sides of the Cold War? Kind of like how how World at War did like there was the Japanese. Or the one in Japan, and there was the one in Germany. How interesting would it be like two different main characters from like two different sides of the Cold War?
Black Ops did that. Black Ops 2 did that. I think that's...
Black Ops I see what you mean. Yeah, it kind of.
But it was more like individual characters, right? Like we never really got that national, like, oh, this is this theater.
There was no crossover also, like in World at War. That's kind of what I meant. But
gotcha.
yeah, that's interesting. That could work too.
Because I feel like, is it all on I know we know it's called Cold War, but like, can we just safely say now, I guess the reboot Modern Warfare universe is a part of this Black Ops universe? Is that like safe?
I don't know about that yet. I have not found. Okay, the weird part is the wars. If Woods ends up showing up in Warzone. Well, okay, the fact that Price is in Blackout is one thing.
I know, but that's the previous universe.
Fair. No, I don't know. I don't know how to treat Warzone because my understanding, at least, is Warzone is. Gosh, this is where, in some ways, Modern Warfare was. God, I love MW 2019, but in so many ways, it was so unimpressive that I have forgotten some of these details. So, like, I think that the Spec Ops and the Warzone are all taking place right after the campaign, which is like modern, basically. It's all. I think it's all basically in.
Almost in the future. I mean, because it hasn't
like
happened
now.
in our lifetime.
I think like now. Yes, I guess let's call it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the slight
forever
future.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Right.
But not like in the far distant future. It's just like forever tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think that the whole point was with Modern Warfare, they're trying to, what would these characters deal with in basically today's threat environment. So in that way, I think Warzone's now, which I don't get. Which would then, I don't get why the fact the Activision, the picture of the first Activision game from like 1981 or something is in the top, like the left next to Warzone, like that. I don't get that.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's interesting because I feel now if they are connected and they're sort of setting up like maybe if it isn't so much like alternate history, but maybe like a conspiratorial history where everything happened the same way that in this Black Ops universe that happened in real life, but there's some bent where it was some weird Soviet ploy. Like it would be interesting to see that thread then carried out in the Modern Warfare series, because it just means like you kind of have this weird antagonist that can now stratify. Like even if Raven or Sledgehammer then makes another game, I think that they're all consolidating it into the same universe. It's like it's kind of interesting to see like you could have the same type of antagonists and themes all play out. So I don't know.
I think if this is connected to Black Ops, it's not going to be the Woods that we see. It's going to be, you'd see either David Mason. I mean, because like you said, like you're saying, it's kind of forever tomorrow. So it's going to be either David Mason or his what's his name? The guy who he's always working with. Was it Mike Harper? Yeah, Mike Harper. Yeah. So you're going to see. Yeah, for reals. I mean, dude, I'm so down with like that.
Well, but then you got to get James C. Burns.
Yes.
Right.
They're not.
Yes.
Like, you know,
That's
the
a
whole-
given.
Absolutely. But the other thing I was going to point out was that historically speaking, in terms of reveals, that sort of viral trailer that we always get for Black Ops 3. I mean, I guess I'm speaking mostly to, if I recall, I think Black Ops 2 was this way. But Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, and now Cold War. I think that what we're going to find with Cold War is that the video footage revealed in the form of a viral trailer, like the Embers trailer from BO3, was a precursor to what we're going to play at. So that would push the timeline way forward. Like we're looking at the tip top of the Cold War, like the very end.
Right.
So how that would play out would be very interesting, especially
maybe
in terms
the
of
whole story.
violence and such.
Sorry to cut you off there. I just had this
No,
idea
no.
to follow, and I think you might be in. Maybe that's all based in the end of the Cold War, the collapse, and some of the missions are, just going back and explore. I mean, you're moving through the Cold War in some missions, but the whole base of it is, right at the end, essentially. I wonder. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it kind of fits with the theme too, because it's like if the Soviet Union, because we're not doing alternate history, the Soviet Union will inevitably fall. But like the twist at the end is like, did they fall? Have
Or
they
are we?
successfully? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are we the Soviet Union?
Yeah, let's get one of those stingers like the end of Black Ops, where it's like, happy American ending, but Mason killed JFK.
Well, and here's the other thing that we keep saying is that if modern warfare is in our day and age, like it's happening, it's going to happen. That's you kind of at some point you've got to solidify the dates at which it happens,
right.
And so if they're going to merge these two universes together, and Black Ops 2 is set to happen in 4 years from now, almost 4 years from now, you're going to have to solidify the occurrence of modern warfare somewhere in that timeline. And so if what you do now is send the whole thing spinning off into an alternate timeline, you could totally solidify the occurrences of modern warfare as occurring in 2021. And that would be explained by the fact that even if it doesn't happen in our lifetime in the real world, it's because it's the whole time this has all been an alternate universe. I mean, maybe it was in our universe during the time of Black Ops 1. I'm not an expert on Modern Warfare or Modern Warfare 2, but like maybe these kinds of things were actually in the past. And then you can actually start setting solid dates for those things that were uncertain before.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it they are going to, if they do play with this alternate universe idea. I didn't play the Modern Warfare 2019 campaign, but I'm assuming some of the I guess my first question is, do most of the people from Modern Warfare, like the series Return, like familiar faces, antagonists, what's the guy's name, the Russian, like, are they all in Modern Warfare or at least referenced? I know it's like a list of characters, but like, like Soap, Price.
No Soap, right?
No Soap. That's rumor is they're making him into the Price of next game.
Yeah, wasn't that like a teaser for maybe someone else? I don't remember who it was. But Ghost got added to the operators or whatever, didn't he?
Well, yeah, in terms of the campaign, if what you're asking there, Matt, I mean, I played the campaign. It was, and I'm not a Modern Warfare expert by any means. I've only partially played the other campaigns, but I don't think so. No, they're because at the very end, spoiler alert. Give you like a couple seconds to stop this if you're a diehard Modern Warfare and you've been living under a rock for the last year. In the end, it's almost like this is a bit of Price's past. Like Modern Warfare occurs before the events of the later, because he meets up with his handler and they're talking about the people he wants to select for a mission, and he selects Simon Riley, he selects Soap, and someone else. And it's like that feel good moment. Like even for me, as like not being a Modern Warfare guy, I was like, ooh, okay. So I feel like I'm in the in crowd now.
So it's sort of like setting up in some way, shape, or form that it would inevitably sort of become like Modern Warfare, the first. Yeah. Okay, because that's what I was wondering. Because I don't know how much they would do an alternate universe, because to me it seems like if one of the weird ways that they can kind of get through, whether doing like a 2-year development cycle or like a 3-year, is if they all share this universe. So in a weird way, maybe not in terms of like development time, but creatively and stuff like that, they can kind of blur and blend from one to the other without, like you can use Warzone as your sort of canvas to tell the stories of like, oh, this is where we're going next. So then I don't know if they would do an alternate universe. It just seems maybe they're just trying to tie it together so there's more of a fluid transition between games.
I've wanted there to be, it'd just be so messy to do all of, I don't know, to cross it to. I'm thinking of campaigns specifically, just the idea of how much can happen in a campaign. How much there's like nukes going off in like every single campaign. Like
Right.
it's like I just can't even imagine the world
ending.
Yeah.
I guess to some extent it's definitely an alternate universe because the Modern Warfare campaign, right? The countries that you're in, even going back to the first Modern Warfare, they're not like real. They're like sort of like this is based on some Middle Eastern country or based on some Eastern European country, right? Like I haven't played them in a long time, but they're not like actual places, if I'm understanding correctly, right?
Yeah, but they're like fake, countries, I think.
Yeah, they're fake countries. So I guess to some extent you could say, oh, well, it is an alternate universe that led to the like now you could actually have some lore explanation for why this country that we've never heard of appears. But
right, Ether.
Boom.
Well, I think Zombies is responsible for the reboots, so that's just tagged or Toten is why we have the rebooted Modern Warfare.
Right. Speaking of,
that's interesting.
So speaking of that, so how do we think these teasers, giving the setting, how do we think this is going to affect Zombies? Do you think this is going to be like a Black Ops 3 situation where the campaign and the Zombies are like completely kind of separated asset-wise and setting-wise, or is it going to be like World at War or Black Ops where it's kind of intertwined?
Well, I think with Black Ops 4 as well, they were kind of separate, so I feel like they'd probably stick that course.
Yeah, I think so. I think with limited time also, they might stick to that.
I think like both of those statements are kind of true because it just seems that like at some point the Zombies and campaign universe were shared a singular timeline and then split off. So yeah, it more than likely it'll probably be like in the old universe timeline, but I guess it's all a part of the same weird entangled multiverse or something like that Zombies seem to set up.
Right, and I'm kind of curious with Raven and Treyarch taking equal parts. I think the only other Call of Duty where that's a thing, where like both of them are on like the key art, at the end of the trailers, was Modern Warfare 3, which was Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer. That's the only other time that's ever happened. So I think Raven's going to have a pretty big part of this, and I wonder if they're going to do mostly campaign, mostly multiplayer, mostly Zombies. Well,
the thing that I'm really confused was I thought this was supposed to be Sledgehammer's installment, right? And then Raven was assisting. So it's just, I mean, it was always supposed to be just Sledgehammer and Raven, and now Treyarch took Sledgehammer's place. But I just want to know what got carried over from, or where the creative vision, a bulk of it was. Was it like, was Sledgehammer just going to continue with the, Cold War being the sequel to World War II, which seems more than likely, and now is that retooled? Like I don't know. It's just interesting, like what Treyarch then put their spin on, because it kind of almost seems now like, oh, the story's Raven when it's Ravensoft, but because they couldn't have come in and like changed so much. Right. There had to have been like a skeleton there.
Well, yeah, I mean the fact that Sledgehammer's not mentioned makes it seem like they were in pretty early planning stages when the switch happened. Maybe even just like tweaking the engine, not even working on actual content, for all we know.
If you recall, like these games begin like while the other game is still, and like by the time they're releasing one game, they've already started building the next. So I think it's entirely possible that this is still just Treyarch's game, the same one they were working on during Black Ops 4.
Gotcha.
And whatever Sledgehammer was making has either been scrapped or probably best. I think what probably would have happened in the case of Sledgehammer's game is it probably got handed off to Infinity Ward. Because I mean, if you're not gonna take away, someone a studio that's already been working on a project for a while, take away whatever it has been working on, only to give it someone else's work to stumble their way through.
So the idea though was that the whole thing was going to be a Vietnam game, right? That was Sledgehammer and Raven were going to make a Vietnam game. So that's the part where I could buy it being where some of it being given to Treyarch and built out as Vietnam being the shell. And as opposed to, I mean, I don't know. I guess IW could do like they could do like a jungle game, I guess, and take all those assets and make it like not Vietnam or something. I don't know.
Oh, but we drifted away from zombies again, though.
Oh my.
The
Who
irony.
cares about zombies? Honestly.
Well, see,
I do.
I mean, I think we all do desperately. But here's the thing:
yeah.
to even ask the question is to assume that there is zombies. And I mean, I've heard rumors, I've heard
Ooh.
from various peoples and stuff like that. But I mean, I think if I may like suddenly just, steal show host situation here, like where in the world do we have the idea that it's even coming back? Because last we heard it was over. I mean, what does it mean to have zombies in Cold War?
Wow.
Because if it's not in there, you're not going to see me again.
Yeah, right. We're
So
all
off
it's
the
a
face of
tangent
the
on
earth.
Brad.
No,
Personally-
I'm with him. I'm going
Personally,
with
I'm
him.
dropping off the face of the earth. So
Well, the other thing too is that given the Cold War and espionage and conspiracy, like I feel like you cannot make the game, especially even if they're sort of playing the trailer straight and it's just about Soviet infiltration. You can't make a game about all these wacky conspiracy theories, MK Ultra, mind control, cultural warfare and sabotage, and not have zombies. Like it just seems like that's just for that to be the installment that leaves it out. It's like no, you can't do all this wacky stuff and then not have zombies in there.
well, this could be really interesting, like because the Ether storyline, it's pretty much all based in World War II. The main characters are from World War II. Everything kind of stems from 935, which was
Right.
working in World War II. So it's like, imagine if zombies started in Black Ops instead. That's what we're kind of gonna get. That's gonna be really interesting. See, like, what are gonna be the characters we follow if it's not Ether? Which
Well,
that's
there's,
a whole other
right.
discussion.
There's sort of the conspiracy though that like MK Ultra and all those programs sort of inevitably came from sort of some like Nazi projects. So it's like at the end of the day, I think it'll always be at its core World War II.
Oh, definitely.
Hell, I mean even Perseus, right, being infiltrating the Manhattan Project. Like I think you're still going to have that core. So yeah, maybe it's a little bit further down the line, but I think you can still.
Right. But it's assuming that like the first map or whatever, the characters will be from the modern day being like the campaign
the 80s,
setting.
yeah.
Right, the contemporary day.
So you
Right.
think we'll get like all new characters?
Well, I guess so. Like, do we think it's gonna be Ether or a new storyline entirely? Personally, I'm hoping for something new.
I
But
think
I-
it's gonna,
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be a middle ground. I know I've said this before, because throwing away the Ether character, you can't do that forever. It's like a superhero. They go away, but they're inevitably going to come back.
No.
However, hang on. However, hold
Iron
on.
Man.
It's like Iron Man. He's dead.
He's dead.
But like, then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is Chaos, where they tried to make a new zombie storyline, and people were kind of like, and I get that sentiment. So I feel like the middle ground is to keep it in Ether and use maybe like Woods, Mason, like characters that are still very popular and familiar with the community and franchise. And you still technically have Ether. You don't have like a sense of that, Ultimus or whatever are being replaced. It's not like a new group of people, a new storyline you have to get invested with. And it kind of walks this middle ground of tying up loose ends of Ether with the campaign characters. That's
But
kind
are
of where
they-
I feel like they're going to go.
Are they the recasted versions?
I know. I'm thinking they're saving.
Because if you have the
James
recasts in the original in the same game, I think that's going to confuse people.
Yeah, I know.
The recast of who?
Like recast of like Woods and Mason.
I mean, we don't know that. Like, it's. I know there's like the video and stuff, but
Right,
like
James
it's
C.
not
Burns-
official.
Yeah, go check out James C. Burns on YouTube. He seems to be either trolling or he doesn't really care that much. But he seems to be confirming he was not asked to be in this next game and they got some replacement. But he might just be trolling for all we know.
I kind of hope it's trolling, which is why I'm holding
I do
back
too.
on it.
Well, even so, though, that doesn't mean that you couldn't. I guess I'm not seeing why that wouldn't mean why you couldn't do a Woods, zombies map, which is like
Or like an older Woods.
entirely on order. Older, I mean younger. I mean there are so many times. I mean you don't play as Woods in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, or in anywhere else. I mean it's not his story. It's the
Well, I mean, including
Mason's
Mason. I don't
story.
think they would get. They might not.
Here's-
I assume they.
When did
recast
he get his
everybody.
tattoo? And why?
Yeah,
When did Woods get it? Yeah.
the Woods tattoo 115.
But it's not James C. Burns.
Well, my hope is
I'm
that.
not saying I don't want
maybe-
Woods. I'm saying
No,
I want the real Woods.
Well,
I
how
don't want
about this?
John Forrest. I want Frank Woods.
How about this, right? John
John.
Forrest.
It's like that slow reaction.
I like John.
It took me a minute.
John Forrest can spend his time in the campaign, but what if the like celebrity map includes James C. Burns?
Yes.
And like he gets like
Okay.
like that's what I'm hoping is they bring him back for like the special maybe like Vietnam zombies map, so at least you still have Woods.
Okay.
I'm totally down.
I'll take it.
All I know is
That's
that
what
the
I'm taking.
moment Ether ends, my relationship with Call of Duty Zombies ends. That's all I know.
No, it doesn't.
I'm
man.
kind of in board with
every
that.
single. Sorry, I ran over somebody.
Oh, I was just agreeing with Tech.
Well, yeah, I mean that's what we do. I mean, a lot of us have done pretty much every time. I mean, which one of us was wholeheartedly invested in Advanced Warfare? That wasn't
I
appropriate.
never played it.
Which one of us was like wholeheartedly invested in World War II zombies?
Well, I liked IW Zombies. You skipped that one.
I was about to say I
Ooh.
completely forgot IW zombies existed in this question here. So there we go.
Like,
We have
It's
little
radically different.
I got invested in Extinction like 6 years later. That counts.
I did play the first map of Extinction, but
Extinction's
I
good.
enjoyed. I got into the viral campaign for World War II. I
did like
did
that.
actually.
That was
Um,
It had some good build-up.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I
I
will
felt
always
bad.
give World War II credit for like the way they did zombies. Brilliant.
with the monuments.
I- My nerves couldn't take it, but like I think it was brilliantly and beautifully done. It's not for me.
The thing that made me sad was like I saw all this and I'm like, oh, the monuments, man, and they're tying it back to history and all these other things. I'm like, boy, I wish Treyarch did this. I feel bad saying that, but that was like the first thing that went through my mind. And I feel like they kind of did with Chaos and stuff like that. But yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what I want because I don't know. To say I want Ether back is a love-hate statement. I want parts of Ether back. I don't want other and separate parts I don't want back. So like, it's tough to.
Would you want a reboot of it?
No.
No.
It's got to be. It's got to be the Ether.
The real thing.
They can
I
do
think a
multiverse if they want, but there is no reboot. I do not want to like. I'm okay with like little. The thing I like about the multiverse, even though I hate so much about it, is you can continue the Ether story in a million different ways, and it not actually impact the original timeline. Like it's all just fun. Like I mean, it can if you cross the multiverse, but like,
Right.
That's I don't know. That's all I want.
I would
That's
say.
the
Already
thing
on
about-
multiverse. Might as well just stay with that. Don't do the reboot. That's a whole
Yeah.
other idea.
Okay.
Well, I
I'm
feel like-
okay. Go ahead, Matt.
I feel like a reboot could still be a part of the story though, because if like you take the tag ending and they reset the universe,
Yeah.
so it's like it's still a continuation. It's not like a hard set reboot.
Right. See, that's
It's
what I
a new
want.
story.
Because I don't want I don't want them going back and changing crap in the past. I want them, if they're gonna do Ether, go forward with it. Don't say, oh, Monty was here. Oh, and there's this another guy that's bigger than Monty. He was behind this and this and this. Just let me live with what I got. Talk about it. All I want.
I
And then give
want
me something new to talk about.
I want 1,000,000 Alpha Omegas and tagged or Totens and classifieds and
No,
I want
No.
I
don't
want
change everything.
I want new maps.
Ah.
New stuff.
Don't make me update the
Take
timeline again.
The sentiment of those maps. I think it's also just a quick daily reminder. I think everything's still connected. I don't know. I'm far down that rabbit hole, but
Oh
I
yeah.
think everything is still connected. So no matter what you get, Chaos, Ether, Campaign, it's all a part of the same story.
That's right. You're like the Buddhist of gods. Like all things connected. Like you've been saying that since the podcast you and I did together that night. Like when I first was getting to know you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I think Ether and Chaos are totally connected." Oh,
I
absolutely.
had a revelation, and it was those two maps, those Remnant and the other map that was like in the Louisiana swamp,
Oh,
and that has held me off because you just do multiverse. So it's all okay. It's all my child. It's all one.
All right, that was a very spirited discussion. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, we touched on everything that matters to us. This is it.
Yeah, hopefully the trailer's good. It comes out the 26th, right? The full thing, full reveal.
Yep.
That'll be really interesting. We'll be back to talk about that if there's a lot of juicy stuff.
Think a
Hopefully we
zombies
get
teaser?
something.
Yes, no.
Yeah,
No.
I hope the website gets
No.
updated.
I don't
think-
think that's going to happen.
I think they're going to do
just
it.
gonna.
Oh, you think they're going to go to the Kino route, where they don't even talk about it? Just don't talk about zombies.
And then the JFK 5 trailer gets leaked, and then it's like, oh.
The Giant route. The Giant was the same way. Like we got a reveal before. It didn't come
I mean,
anywhere.
we got that
campaign.
cutscene.
It was like campaign zombies and
Well,
I think
the
they'll
only
go the GK Nova route, and they will do before launch. If I'm correct on this, I want to verify. I'm pretty sure this is correct. They're going to do a zombies. I don't think we're going to know what the first map is before launch, but I do think they're going to change the website to have zombies clips.
What
I'd be
about one
okay
of the
with that.
bunkers? One of the bunkers in Warzones opens up and it has like element 115 in it.
Oh,
That's
Oh,
like the
no.
trailer.
So one of the things that's interesting in Warzone that you open up a door and there's a teddy bear with a machine gun. And so I think it'd be cool if you open up a door like a bunker and just zombies start pouring out. That could
Yeah,
be
the
kind of
That would
funny.
be cool.
It starts infecting the map.
dude, that would be like the greatest like response to Fortnite's black hole. Like imagine the entire map just like one day there are just people playing
Right.
Warzone and everyone's running from an unimaginable horde of zombies. I would play for
Yeah, I
that.
think Warzone
This is
Zombies
what-
is gonna happen.
This is what
Yeah, I
I
think it's
I need it
leads,
to be
yeah.
Fortnite. I don't want them to do like in season 5 when they in Warzone when they blew open the stadium and you just got to watch a trailer of them blowing in the stadium. You know, like I'm like, where are my in-game events? You know, like that was what Fortnite just did so well, and I want that back. Or not even
I think
want
we're
it back.
getting
I just
there.
want it.
I think if Warzone does become its own separate entity, that's basically going to be our marketing, the stage for these campaigns.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So, all right. I guess we can wrap this up. That was a fun discussion.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
talk to you guys next time.
Oi.
Bye.
Bye.